Welcome to the Elvis Presley channel. They shared similar personalities, and there was a force between them that they couldn't resist. Despite being soulmates, they couldn't marry each other, and that's why people wanted to know if they had any regrets. Did Ann-Margret regret not marrying Elvis Presley? Make sure to watch the video until the end, and if you are new here, don't forget to join our wonderful community by subscribing to the channel. Was Roger Smith the right man for Ann-Margret? Elvis Presley and Ann-Margret were two of the world's most famous entertainers, equally gifted and electrifyingly magnetic. On the sets of practically all of his films, the king was used to chasing flings. But something unusual happened while filming Viva Las Vegas in 1964. On and off camera, he was used to having the upper hand, but the Swedish bombshell matched him in every way. When a bewildered and captivated Elvis inquired about what was going on, one of his buddies said, "She's the female you." Ann-Margret was the only co-star who had top billing alongside Elvis Presley in any film, and she was also the only one invited to his funeral. His father Vernon wanted her to represent the Presley family on a 1977 TV special immediately after the star's death, and he sent her flowers until the day he died. Later, the actress claimed that their bond was more than simply superficial. It was built on a strong and unique kinship. For over a year, the two dated on and off, even discussing marriage. Ann-Margret described Presley as her soulmate and said he touched something deep within her psyche. They were deeply similar in many ways, and she felt their paths mirrored one another. However, when it came to choosing a life partner, they both chose different people. Elvis had to fulfill his commitment to marrying Priscilla, who was already waiting for him in Graceland. They both married in Las Vegas on May 1st, 1967. A week later, Ann-Margret married actor Roger Smith in the same city. However, their friendship lasted till Elvis's death. Ann-Margret continued to speak of Elvis with nothing but warmth and affection long after his death. So what does this indicate? Did Ann-Margret regret not marrying Elvis Presley? Let's find out, and keep watching this video till the end. Elvis Presley and Ann-Margret shared an electrifying passion while filming Viva Las Vegas. She said, "When Elvis thrust his pelvis, mine slammed forward. We shared a devil within." But they also loved each other deeply, talked of marriage, and stayed close until the very end. She revealed that their connection was instant and overwhelming. We both felt a current, electricity that went straight through us. It would become a force we couldn't control. Little did we know we shared a devil within. We were quiet, polite, and careful, but I knew what was going to happen once we got to know each other. Elvis did too. Ann-Margret was already a renowned singer and dancer when they co-starred in 1964's Viva Las Vegas, which caused a worldwide sensation in the 1963 film Bye Bye Birdie. She said, "We experienced music in the same visceral way. Music ignited a fiery pent-up passion inside Elvis and inside me. It was an odd, embarrassing, funny, inspiring and wonderful sensation. We looked at each other and saw virtual mirror images. When Elvis thrust his pelvis, mine slammed forward too. When his shoulder dropped, I was down there with him. When he whirled, I was already on my heel." Away from the film set, their chemistry was just as volatile. They would play in front of Elvis's staff, cat dancing across the floor, putting on sensual voices, with Elvis teasing, "You've got me running," and Ann-Margret replying, "You've got me hiding." Elvis named her Thumper, which she would use as a code name when she called Graceland, and she called him EP. They shared a love of riding powerful motorbikes, and daredevil Ann-Margret continued her passion for decades, even after she broke 3 ribs in an accident in 2000. As they worked together, Ann-Margret says they discovered many things they had in common. In addition to the music, they shared a passion for motorcycles, a love of family, a desire for privacy, a devotion to God, and late-night talks. Early during filming, Elvis asked her to go out with him and the guys to see a show in Las Vegas. It was an innocent, friendly date, she remembered. I was used to having my parents accompany me on dates, so Elvis's entourage wasn't a problem. His guys always treated me wonderfully. In return, Elvis's friends always felt comfortable when she was around. She made his life a little easier because she understood him and didn't make any demands on him, Elvis's cousin Billy Smith recalled. She even understood his need for us. Priscilla never understood that. Marty Lacker added, Ann genuinely liked people, and she liked every one of us. She wasn't intimidated or threatened by us. I think she also respected us. We used to have a lot of fun with her. She had a terrific sense of humour. We called her Rusty, because that was her name in the movie, and because of her red hair. As Elvis became more comfortable with Ann-Margret, however, they began to spend more time alone. I knew I'd crossed into a certain uncharted territory when Elvis asked to be alone with me, but later the frequency with which it happened made me happy. It meant Elvis truly trusted me. By all accounts, it developed quickly into a full-blown love affair. Elvis's affair with Ann-Margret was not just an affair, declared Lamar Fike. He was really in love with her. It got hot and heavy. Marty Lacker added, neither one of them was married, and they really cared a lot about each other. And Priscilla was back at Graceland. For her part, in her book, Ann-Margret avoided romantic details of her relationship with Elvis. Instead, she focused on the motorcycle rides and other adventures they shared as close friends. Still, it's apparent their inseparable relationship continued long after filming on Viva Las Vegas had been concluded. In his book, Jerry Schilling reported seeing Ann-Margret enter Elvis's California home late at night in the fall of 1964 with her own key and make her way up to Elvis's bedroom. Marty Lacker claims she used to write him letters and sign them Bunny or Thumper, and she'd call Graceland and use the same code. And Ann-Margret admitted in her book that Elvis knew I loved pink and had commissioned a round pink bed in a moment of tenderness. Ultimately, however, the couple knew that their relationship wasn't going to last forever. Both of them knew that no matter how much they loved each other, no matter how strong their bond, they weren't going to last. Elvis had commitments, promises to keep, namely to Priscilla Presley, who already lived at Graceland and to whom he was engaged, and he vowed to keep his word. So the one who stressed the couple's heated romance more than anyone else was Priscilla Ann Beaulieu, then just a teenage girl who had just turned 18, who lived secretly at Graceland, and who had just left high school. No wonder Elvis was in love with Ann-Margret, but he had to choose Priscilla. While their relationship was vibrant and intense, Elvis Presley still felt an obligation toward Priscilla Presley, and felt as though he had to fulfill his commitment. Ann-Margret was somewhat ready for that, as she wrote in her memoir. There were other factors in Elvis's life that forced him apart from me, and I understood them. Elvis had always been honest with me, but still, it was a confusing situation. We continued to see each other periodically until we had dated for almost a year. Then everything halted. We knew the relationship had to end, that Elvis had to fulfill his commitment. Inevitably, though, at least to Ann-Margret it seemed, their love affair had to end. Even though Elvis Presley broke things off to maintain his relationship with Priscilla Presley, Ann-Margret said that they were essentially soulmates, and has claimed that Elvis wanted to stay with her. Around the same time that Elvis married Priscilla, Ann-Margret wed Roger Smith. The couple remained happily together for 50 years until he passed away in 2017. But despite being married to Smith, Elvis and Ann-Margret remained friends for the rest of Elvis's life. Throughout their friendship, Ann-Margret and Presley showered each other with admiration. She said Elvis always sent her flowers when she performed in Vegas. The actors' connection made Ann-Margret believe that they shared a spiritual bond. We were indeed soulmates, shy on the outside, but unbridled within, she wrote. We both lived on the edge, and we both were self-destructive in our own ways. In many ways, both of us, despite fame and whatever else we'd achieved so quickly, had remained very childlike and emotionally dependent. So, did she ever regret not marrying Elvis Presley? Ann-Margret once revealed if she regrets not marrying Elvis Presley. Smith and Ann-Margret tied the knot in 1967, exactly 1 week after Presley married his wife, Priscilla. Ann-Margret described Smith too as her soulmate, someone whom she understood implicitly without need for words. The actress revealed that she was certain of her future with Smith by the third date. She felt something undeniable between them, and she knew it was meant to be. "I already knew that some day we'd be married," Ann-Margret wrote in My Story of one of her earliest dates with Smith. "I didn't know the particulars, but I knew by the third date that we had something special." Ann-Margret trusted Smith deeply. In fact, he started to supervise her career full-time after he retired from acting. She handed him the reins in terms of her performing career, and that arrangement always helped them well. For Ann-Margret, Smith was the right man from the beginning. Throughout their marriage, Smith helped Ann-Margret make smarter business decisions, encouraged her to take pride in her career, and believed in her. He soon became her manager and helped her land more prominent roles, heightened her career even further. On the contrary, Elvis never wanted a career-oriented wife. Ultimately, she made the right decision by not going after someone who was clearly in a committed relationship. Still, she and Elvis remained close friends until he died in 1977. Although Ann-Margret doesn't regret choosing another man over Presley, she admitted in her book, Ann-Margret, My Story, that the singer's wish was that we could stay together. Unfortunately, due to his commitments to his fiancée, they decided to remain friends. She appreciated her husband on many occasions, which shows that she had no regrets about not marrying Elvis. Elvis Presley continued to send guitar-shaped flower arrangements to Ann-Margret backstage at her shows for the rest of his life. They also talked periodically and always shared a special connection. This could easily have become unacceptable for Smith, but that was not the case here. While many men would have been frightened by their wife's ongoing friendship with Elvis himself, Ann-Margret said her husband never showed signs of envy when it came to her ex-boyfriend. When she was asked if Smith ever was jealous of his wife's strong friendship with the king of rock and roll, the actress answered that question in her 1994 autobiography, Ann-Margret, My Story, and claimed her husband understood her friendship with the king. In reflecting on the moments which could easily have become an awkward face-off with her former boyfriend and current husband, Ann-Margret revealed that she deeply appreciated Smith's apparent lack of jealousy towards Presley. "One of the traits I love about my husband is that he was never jealous of the friendship I shared with Elvis," she wrote. "If it had been another old boyfriend who periodically appeared in my life bearing flowers and gifts, I don't think he would have been as understanding. But Elvis was different. He was special, and like everyone else, Roger put him in a category all of his own." Ann-Margret claimed that Smith knew she and the king of rock and roll shared a bond that would never be broken, and he didn't try to break it. On the contrary, she wrote, Smith and Presley actually got along well and were friendly with each other. After Presley died in 1977, Smith even attended his funeral with Ann-Margret to pay his respects. She never regretted marrying Smith, but probably it was Elvis who regretted it at one point. She said his wish was that we could stay together. It didn't work out between Elvis and Ann-Margret, but for the rest of his life she was in the deepest part of his heart. When Elvis opened at the International Hotel on July 31st, 1969, Ann-Margret was in the audience, according to Lamar Fike. Throughout the 70s, both would attend the other's Las Vegas shows when possible and visit with each other afterward. When she had a facial injury, Elvis called Ann-Margret's hotel room. After seeing her for the first time in years, he wanted to speak to her personally. Elvis told Ann-Margret she looked wonderful, and that he was happy to have seen her during her recovery. But then things took a turn. But then his tone changed. Ann-Margret recalled the event in her memoir, My Story. Saying he was lonely, he asked if he could see me. It wasn't a question I'd anticipated since the afternoon, but hoped that he wouldn't really ask. Ann-Margret refused. After all, she was married. She simply responded, "You know I can't." Elvis then heartbreakingly opened up to the star. According to the Bye Bye Birdie star, Elvis told her he understood, but he wanted to let her know that he still felt the same. The King's comments about being lonely were likely made after his wife Priscilla had moved out of Graceland to a 2-bedroom apartment earlier that year. Months later, on October 9, 1973, his divorce from Priscilla would be finalised. On the other hand, Ann-Margret remained Smith's wife until he died in 2017. The relationship she never regretted, but that didn't stop her to retain a strong affection for the rock and roll legend who was once her lover. She refused to speak poorly about him. She always talked highly of Elvis, and she was one of the only celebrities to attend his funeral in 1977 with her husband Smith. So how she could regret marrying a man like Smith, who not only supported her career but also respected his wife's friendship? Do you think that Elvis could be a husband like Smith? She was destined to marry Smith and maintained respect for Elvis. Sometimes marriage is not what we call a happy ending. Love is all about maintaining respect and adding value to each other's lives. Elvis and Ann-Margret proved that. Don't you think so? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. There are many questions about what would have happened if Elvis and Ann-Margret had married. If you want to know more, watch this video. Who would be the better with Elvis, Priscilla or Ann-Margret?